Hello, it is still Tuesday and now we are going to do science. It is Tuesday, April 13th, and our theme for this week is reptiles and amphibians. Reptiles and amphibians are cold-blooded animals. So this is going to be a fun experiment to show how cold-blooded animals use heat, the heat of the sun, to warm themselves. So what we're going to do, I'm going to make some Play-Doh, some homemade Play-Doh, and I am going to color it with a very special kind of coloring. This is called Thermochromic Pigment. This means that this color changes when it is heated or when it cools down. So I also have some putty that is already made that does the same thing. Now, unfortunately, my fingers are generally not warm enough to make these things turn color. So when I get done with the Play-Doh, we're gonna make a couple of little animals, and then we're gonna turn the heat lamp on, and I will show you how in my aquarium, which there's nothing in there that is like actually living, but the heat lamp will help these items turn color. All right, so the first thing that we need, now unfortunately the recipe at the bottom of the instructions that I sent home makes a large amount of Play-Doh. So I found another recipe for the Play-Doh that's pretty much the same thing. It's flour, it's salt, it's vegetable oil, and cream of tartar. And so, but it makes a smaller amount of Play-Doh. So what we need is a cup of plain flour. So I am going to fill my cup with flour. One of the nice things about these Play-Doh recipes is that it's not like you're cooking something. Your measurements do not necessarily have to be absolutely exact. So we are done with the flour. That's all we need. I'm gonna scoop that out of the way. Then we need 1/4 of a cup of salt. So that is a lot of salt. It's going to be a very salty Play-Doh if you try to eat it. I wouldn't suggest eating it. Won't hurt you, but I wouldn't suggest eating it. So that is the salt and the flour, and then we need a tablespoon of cream of tartar. So I have some cream of tartar here, and I had a big jar of it. I don't know what happened to my big jar. So you have to use the little jar of it. I think, there we go. So now we're gonna mix this all together. We want it fairly well mixed. And normally when you're making Play-Doh, if you want your Play-Doh to be really nice and vibrant color, you really want to use a vibrant color in the water. This time we are using this pigment, which is actually a powder. And I'm going to use this whole little jar. I found a package of, there were 5 different thermochromic pigments. I'm not sure what color they turn when they're not this color. I'm gonna venture a guess that this dark one might turn yellow. But I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna use the whole jar in this. I'm putting it in my powder, in my flour, in my dry ingredients, because it is a powder. So I feel like it will mix better if I put it in the dry ingredients. Can you see? This is, I might even use a whisk to try to mix this a little nicer. It seems to be mixing fairly nicely. And the key to this particular Play-Doh recipe is that you have to use hot water. This is a no-cook recipe, but you use hot water, and it calls for a half of a cup of hot water. And so I'm just gonna put a little bit in. Oh, look at what that does to the color. It turns the color white because it's hot. And then we also need a tablespoon of vegetable oil. So we'll do that right now too. All right, get that out of the way. Our items out of the way. All right, I'm going to add some more water. I think we might have enough water. I think it might be, might have enough water in it. Let's take it out and in fact, it might even need a little bit more, might have too much water in it. Maybe we might need a little bit of, a little bit more flour. Very little. Because I suspect that very little goes a long way with this Play-Doh recipe. Do you see how light green that turned from the dark green of the pigment? There we go. I think that might be. I think our Play-Doh is a nice consistency. The problem is that the Play-Doh is actually still warm. So we are going to, I'm just going to let it, I think what I'll do, put this stuff over here. We'll put all this stuff over here, and we're going to make our Play-Doh into, how about a snake? Make the Play-Doh into a, in fact, I don't know that we need all of that Play-Doh for a snake. There. Okay, so we are gonna let, oh, it's still, oh look! Can you see where it's touching the table? Here, see where it's not touching the table, it's nice and light. where it touches the table is cool. So let's see if that works. Well, the thermochromic part is working, isn't it? I just kind of feel like that a little much for a, I don't want a big snake. I want just a small little snake. There we go. There's a nice little snake. So he can sit over here. And then we'll use the green thermochromic putty. And now my hands are a little warm. Can you see how the green has turned a little bit lighter? See if maybe we can make the green into a, oh, it doesn't want to mix. Okay, I was thinking about trying to make the green into a frog. Oh, I am definitely not a sculptor. I wonder if the Play-Doh on my hands is making this not work with me as well. Okay, so here we've got a green little guy, and I'm going to make some arms for him. I do have my heat lamp turned on, or plugged in, I mean. The arms don't want to stay. It's going to be a very deformed frog. Sorry, guys. They don't want it, apparently it doesn't want to stay on my little guy. So we're just going to make, a tadpole. He does not want to. So now you can see how green it is, but it is lightened up. I've got a piece of plastic on this wood because I don't want the wood to get into my, my putty. I'm going to see if I can make a salamander. How about a purple salamander? There we go. See if my purple salamander, if his legs will stay. I don't know if that'll work, because it seems like the oil on my hands from the okay, then we have a purple snake. All right, so this is how purple is right now. I'm going to move the camera. And I'm going to show you guys. Do you see how dark that our snake Play-Doh has gotten? And then look. Can you see? The green frog without legs is turning yellow. You see him? And the purple salamander will also, I think it ends up turning a little bit lighter purple. Let's see if I can speed that up a little bit. Can you see how much lighter that is? All right, so the heat is making our colors change color, and then when it gets cooled down, it goes back to the original color. So what that means is that, sorry, I can't see what I'm doing, guys. Sorry. What that means is that the heat of the light helps the animals who are cold-blooded. It helps warm them. Their bodies do not make the warmth itself. They use the heat of the sun or the heat of the air around them or the heat of a rock that they are basking on to warm themselves. So that's what cold-blooded means, all right? I hope that you enjoyed this. I know we did. We had a great time making the Play-Doh and playing around with it. Have a great afternoon. Bye, guys.